Yes, the board met today, Mike, and we have appointed Dennis Kibble as the coach for the Falcons for the year 1983. I think it's a very popular decision on the basis that he has been the assistant coach for 2 years, and we have had him to 2 coaching schools in America. And apart from the fact that he did play for Australia and he's known as the Little King, and he certainly knows the game, and we're very confident we can win with him.
Warren, what about the players? As I reported during the week, George Morrow has indicated that he will play with the Falcons in 83. What about the other players that played for the Falcons in 82?
All players that played in the squad last year have been re-signed. Their contracts have been completed. George Morrow rang me from San Diego on Monday morning at 2 a.m. and the contracts are on the way to America for him to sign.
What about additional players?
Yes, well, we will be replacing, of course. We'll have the same team except Pop Wright, who will not be returning, and we have replaced him with Danny Ray Cruz.
Well, Warren, I know that you have a tremendous spectator following here in the Hunter Valley. They'll all be very, very pleased with the news that the Little King is coach for 83, and I'm sure we wish the Falcons all the best for 83.
Yes, thank you, Mike, and I hope that we get the crowds that we got last year, because the statistics just came out this week throughout Australia, and there were more spectators viewed the Falcons on their home game than any other team had spectators view their game, and interstate and intrastate, more spectators came to see the Falcons than any other team.
Eight-year-old Vicky Flower from Foster was this morning limbering up for an attempt at the world record for low-level skating at the Dancing Wheels Skateway at Foster. The world record is held by a 9-year-old American girl named Wendy Emerald. It stands at 6 3/4 inches, or just under 17 centimetres. Although Vicky is said to have beaten the record several times, today, with cameras and official observers on hand, she couldn't quite make it. But full points to Vicky for trying. According to the leader of the church, Bishop Alfred Holland, the synod discussed both church matters and social issues. On the church front, the synod voted by a narrow margin not to allow the ordination of women into the priesthood.
That was the main domestic area. In the social welfare and concern, unemployment, work, housing, the relationship between the university and the CAE, Aboriginal land rights, areas of that sort of discussion was had.
One controversial area mentioned was asking the federal government for protection for the steel industry. To what extent can that request be carried to the government?
I think we'll just let our voice be heard. There are a lot of people in the community involved in this issue. The church isn't the only one. But we want to say that we believe that while the steel industry is reorganising, if that's the correct expression, there ought to be some breathing space as far as unemployment is concerned. We try to use our influence at all levels of government, and we believe that where we can, if we believe we're doing right, we ought to let government know what we think, because if things are not right, then we hope we can put them right by saying what we think ought to be said.
Things were fairly quiet behind the scenes at Broadmeadow today. Trainers on the AWU blacklist prepared their horses without interruption. They were blackbanned by the union for carrying out the work of barrier attendants at Broadmeadow earlier this month. The 12 striking AWU employees turned up for work this morning, but they didn't stay long. When they returned to work today, AWU members asked for full payment while they were on strike. It was refused, and again they walked off the track. However, it didn't stop the race. Fellow attendants were on hand to complete the race program. They're members of the Theatrical Union, which voted against supporting the AWU cause. While racing continued uninterrupted today, the walkout has sparked a bitter reaction from the Newcastle Jockey Club. A spokesman said today action would be taken against the AWU members. While refusing to elaborate, it appears that the Newcastle Jockey Club stand could lead to an all-out confrontation.
The second Newcastle Star Professional Music Awards was indeed a glittering affair. Anyone who was anyone in the Newcastle music scene was among the 700-strong crowd gathered for an evening of non-stop entertainment. Comparing the awards was television showman Donnie Sutherland. Other stars included comedy duo Jan Adele and Lucky Grills and the maestro himself, Tommy Tico, whose performance brought the audience to its feet. Also, in the tradition of all great presentation nights, there was of course the Dancing Girls. 15 awards were made in a variety of musical categories, ranging from old time to rock. However, the award of awards was the Star Reader's Choice. The readers chose the band Nodes Levity as the most popular of any local group or soloist. Newcastle pub and club band DV8 has just recently taken its talents to the recording studio. The 7-piece band was chosen as the best rock group. The 12 attendants were stood down by the Jockey Club on October 2nd after refusing to allow a horse led by a trainer and not a union member to enter the barrier. Trainers then manned the barrier for the duration of the race meeting. Following that action, the AWU called for those 8 trainers to be banned from Australian racetracks for a year and took its case to the State Industrial Commission. However, the Commissioner advised the attendants to return to work. The men returned as directed at 7:30 yesterday morning, but walked off the job when the Newcastle Jockey Club refused to pay them for the time they'd been off work. Late yesterday they were sacked. Club Secretary Mr Brian Judd says the men will not be reinstated unless they agree to return to work without receiving pay for the time they were absent.
There's no doubting that more than a passing glance at clumps of eucalypts in and around Newcastle will reveal considerable defoliation on a number of the gums, for example here in Blackbutt Reserve. It may well be that publicity surrounding this year's Year of the Tree has more people noticing this sort of thing than in the past. However, both Newcastle City Council Parks Supervisor Bob Rain and the local Forestry Commission agree that recently this little fellow, the cup moth larvae, or Spitfire as it's sometimes called, has been more active than usual. The Spitfire has been the chief destroyer of foliage. It can even kill a eucalypt, but the tree experts tell us there's no need for panic.
The cup moth recently has been active over the last few weeks, but this is normal anyway for this particular insect to hatch out in spring and for the larval stage to become active and start consuming the foliage of eucalypts. As far as desecrating the trees goes, or actually killing them, the cup moth on its own I don't think will do this, not to healthy trees anyway, and the majority of trees around Newcastle and in a bush setting such as this are healthy. In the garden situation, controls are available for those who feel it necessary, and some of the planted eucalypts are suffering fairly severe defoliation. In this case, trees may be sprayed, or if they're too big to spray, they can be treated by the injection method.
Tony, what prompted you to write the song?
Well, I was approached by the Year of the Tree Committee of Newcastle, Kevin MacDonald, to write the Year of the Tree song. And as soon as they said the magic words, plant a tree, then that was it. That was the inspiration.
Is there anything else going on around Australia to promote the Year of the Tree that you know of?
No, as far as I know, Newcastle is the only place doing something like this to promote the Year of the Tree. And we're hoping it goes nationwide.
Tony wrote the song in May. It's his first single and is to be released at the Newcastle and District Nurserymen's Association show this weekend. And the message is, plant a tree.
Wouldn't you feel down if everything was brown and hot because there wasn't any shade? So plant a tree, oh plant a tree. A garden looks much better with a tree. Oh plant a tree, yeah plant a tree. A nice cool green shady tree. I wouldn't like to play on a hot summer's day in a park where there wasn't any shade. So plant a tree, oh plant a tree. Us little kids just love to climb in trees. Oh plant a tree, oh plant a tree. A nice cool green shady tree. You see, a tree nice and green keeps the air fresh and clean, keeps the birdies in their nests singing very merrily. There wouldn't be so many houses, we'd be sitting on the ground, cause trees make lots of furniture. So take a look around and plant a tree, oh plant a tree. For each and every child let's plant a tree, oh plant a tree, yeah plant a tree. A nice cool green shady, nice cool green shady, nice cool green shady tree.
As a demonstration of what can be done by the state's mining industry, the Ulan project is outstanding. Just over 2 years, White Industries, with Mitsubishi's backing, has completed the Sandy Hollow railway line, which today was used by the XPT to take VIPs to Ulan, but will normally carry export coal to Newcastle. At the same time, the company has constructed a massive open cut that's now capable of producing 3.5 million tonnes of coal a year. At $170 million, the mine is almost cheap by current standards, and it employs the latest technology. But even this mine has had its setbacks. 2-month ban on employing staff and a dispute over the manning of the railway line.
The Honourable
In his opening speech, the chairman of Ulan Mines, Mr Jeff White, spoke of the need to recover any loss of credibility the mining industry has suffered in the past 2 years. But he was optimistic about the future and said the Ulan field could ultimately employ as many as 1,000 people. His comments were echoed by the Vice President of Mitsubishi, Mr Hisayos, who said he had no doubts about the project's future success in spite of short-term fluctuations in the coal markets. The Premier was also optimistic, predicting completion of the railway line to Maryvale and agreeing with White Industries that Ulan would be a good site for a new power station.
Onto Maryvale,
In that mood,
and
he
we're
dismissed
almost
suggestions that
at the
union
end of our
disputes in New South
feasibility
Wales
studies
are still
and
undermining
arrangements
the confidence
in
of
relation
overseas
to
coal
the
buyers.
Gulgong section.
And I don't think there's any doubt at all that we've regained a great deal of our credibility as a result of a lot of common sense that's been exercised at all points between the coal mines and the port through to the export to the ships. Now, in relation to Drayton, I regard Drayton as an important issue which must be resolved. And I really believe there's only one way to resolve it, and that's for that mine to open.
But isn't the situation likely to be a deterrent to overseas companies to invest?
I haven't noticed any deterrent. There's $150 million invested here, and there's a queue lined up to get into the coal industry in New South Wales.
The opening culminated 10 years of hard work for the people of Tea Gardens and Hawk's Nest. That's how fundraising and lobbying for the swimming centre in their area. It was built at a cost of $186,000, $38,000 of which was raised by the community, while the remainder came from government grants and the Great Lakes Shire Council. As the rains poured down, people used anything available to shelter themselves. The choir from Tea Gardens Public Schools sang on regardless. The pool was officially opened by the men of the Gloucester Mystery on Punch. He applauds the residents for their community spirit and says the pool will prove its worth as the area continues to grow. The blaze started in a feed shed at about 10 o'clock. Stable hands worked quickly to free 10 horses from their smoke-filled enclosures. 2 stations attended the fire, which was extinguished within half an hour. Course manager, Mr. Reg Adams, says it was lucky the fire didn't cause more damage.
When I arrived down here, she was well alight, and only for the quick action of the stable boys, it's been a lot worse than what it really is.
$250 people turned up to last night's function at the League's club to bid a fond farewell to their mate Jack. Jack Winnie has been fighting crime in Newcastle for 27 years. He spent 1 year of that time in uniform before moving into the demanding field of detective work. He is described by friends as a man of tolerance, understanding and common sense, a man well suited to his chosen career. However, on Tuesday, Jack Winnie will leave that work to which he has devoted his life behind him, and says he will do so without regret.
Well, I have no regrets about retiring. I'm looking forward to it, really, Sharon, but I'll miss the camaraderie in the police force. I'll miss the fellows I've worked with, particularly CIB work.
Has the job been a hard one during the time that you've been with the force in Newcastle?
Well, when you say hard, it's been demanding, very demanding. You can see my grey hair, and I got that very early in life, and it's only because of my police commitments.
During your time as a detective, what were the most baffling cases you ever faced?
Recent 2 matters I've had here in Newcastle concerning the disappearance of Debbie Pritchard and the murder of Elizabeth Dixon at Maitland. They've been terribly different matters.